time available, Mr. Speaker, I am going to make a few points regarding clauses 29 and 36, because these are the ones which I authored myself in the negotiations with the government, because I was so concerned about Article 4 and Chapter 4 of the agreement. In the circumstances, I therefore simply say this. This entire bill is ultimately about sovereignty. I go further and say that we need, therefore, not only to reaffirm that, as these clauses do, but also an increased role for the monitoring and the scrutiny of these arrangements within the framework of this House. We had the ports regulation a few years ago. That was pushed through, as indeed it will, for similar provisions will be pushed through in the transitional period, when the European Union takes control over us in the legislative process, and we will have no means of being able to defend it except by reference to the kind of clauses that I have produced and which I'm glad the Prime Minister has accepted. I'll come to the point with regard to the law simply as follows. Section 1 of the European Union Withdrawal Act is 2018 is clear and unambiguous that we will repeal the 72 Act on the 31st of October. That is the law of the land, as I've said, repeatedly. That is clear, it is unambiguous, and it is the law. Lord Denning, our greatest jurist, without doubt the greatest jurist in modern history, specifically stated that where Parliament wishes to assert its supremacy, it can do so by stating clearly that a domestic statute is to apply notwithstanding European law, and this would include sections 2 and 3 of the European Community Act 1972. He stated clearly that if the time should come when our Parliament deliberately passed an act with the intention of repudiating a treaty or any provision in it, or intentionally acting inconsistently with it, and says so in express terms, as indeed Section 1 of the 2018 Withdrawal Act most clearly does, it would be the duty of our courts to follow the statute of our Parliament. Nothing could be clearer. I would add into this mix the fact that there are principles of sincere cooperation under Article 4 of the treaty and of wrongful reasons in international law, which I haven't got time to go into. This is the gravamen of the question and the manner in which I believe that we will be able, through the mechanisms provided under clauses 29 and 36, to give protection. I am deeply concerned about the provisions relating to Northern Ireland, and others have said, and I agree with what they have said on that subject. I will.
I wonder if the right honourable member, I appreciate what he has managed to get into the bill, but could he just clarify a little bit more how this could help in terms of the situation, which is very, very concerning to all of those who care about Northern Ireland?
The Honourable Lady is a member of my Select Committee, and I would simply add that by setting up evidence sessions with the departmental Select Committees and having taken control over the manner in which the report is made on that evidence, the ministers will be under an obligation to allow that motion to be moved, and furthermore that we will be able to vote on it. The bottom line, therefore, is that there will be real opportunities for this House to express its views in conjunction with any Select Committee that is brought into the arena with the European Scrutiny Committee, and we will work, as we have done, effectively with those other committees for the purpose of reducing that evidence. We will then be in a position to be able to rely on the fact, I believe, that the floor of the House of Commons will determine the outcome of that evidence, and when there is a vote on it, we will then be able to apply, I believe, the principles of parliamentary sovereignty in line with the judgment of Lord Denning, as I just expressed it, which I don't need to repeat. But I will say this in general and leave it at this. These matters go to the very marrow of our body politic, which is the birthright of our citizens forged over centuries in war and peace throughout our history for centuries. I will simply say, we had a referendum, we had a decision of the British people, We must implement that decision, and anyone who opposes this bill is effectively undermining our democracy and our self-government.
Ian Smith.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure and instructive as ever to follow the Right Honourable Member for Stone, who has